So I'd really like to, pull this thing out and go for a ride, but the couple feet of snow that are in it and on it and around it kind of make that a little bit difficult. So I got really nothing else to film. I suppose go work on Little Blue, see if we can't find a belt for it. If you look closely at it here, I did mention to the owner that okay, let's replace the belt on this. I didn't think it was much video worthy, but that belt is in there pretty far, and actually kind of messed around with this already earlier. I pulled the belt off there with no issues, which means the belt is pretty loose in there, right? Just pull it right off here like that. That secondary should be a little tighter. I think what possibly could be the issue is the secondary is not working right. It might be staying open. Primary could use a little bit of WD and some emery cloth, or some not emery cloth, some WD and Scotch-Brite. Okay, so here's the belt. I couldn't find online the service limit on the size, but I'm gonna say this one's getting kind of down there. I think I might steal one there from the 700. So I got one right on here. I might actually steal the one right on the 700. I'm guessing these belts are the same. I mean, I don't know. Looks pretty much the same, right? Same length. So we'll say, yeah, that'll work. Pull it bad boy off of there. It's a different style of belt too. Put that right there. Different style of belt. It's got these outer ribs for cooling, but I mean, they don't look a lot different. But when it comes to a drive belt, it really doesn't make much on the wear. Oop, my hand. Like you don't need much difference in the belts. So I don't know if you can see that. Put it like that. Yeah, you can see the one on top. Interesting. I think this one's worn out too. I wonder if I bring this over here, down here. I wonder if, yeah, that's going to be in the way, obviously. I wonder if this one is better. Oh yeah, that's, geez, about 1/8 of an inch. Yeah. Well, no, it's not. This belt is not worn out, so we got clutch problems. So I'm gonna pull off that secondary. I'll get it on the bench, and we'll see if we can do a cleaning on it. See if we can do a cleaning on that secondary. Pull that secondary off, do a cleaning on it, and check. There's actually adjustments on these you can do. There's little bolts and washers and stuff that go in on the back end. So I'm gonna pull that off of there, clean it up, put it back on. Oh, hopefully you can see my head's not in the way. Alright, let's have a look here. So if you look at these, flip that thing so I can see it. You see these bolts here? if you look really closely, there's actually a washer on there. If you take that washer out of there, then it'll squeeze these belts. It'll squeeze the sheaves closer together. So that might be what I'm gonna have to do with this. You gotta be careful too. You start taking these bolts out here. There's this big spring, your secondary big spring, and it'll come flying off and get you right in the noggin. And we're not gonna talk about how I know that. So what do I want to do? I am going to. Yeah, there's all sorts of belts and goodies and stuff down inside of here. Yeah, and the sheaves need to be cleaned. Okay, I'm gonna WD and bushings are okay. I actually want to pull this right apart, so I'm gonna have to get a nut and a bolt and bolt this together. Yeah, and then take these off and then unscrew your bolt. It's like a puller type thing. Big old hunk of ready rod. And a couple washers should do her. Just gonna put a little bit of pressure on this. Doesn't have to be super tight, right? Because everything on here is already tightened to its limits. And yeah, I believe if I kept going, I should actually open the sheaves up. Yeah, it starts to open that. Okay, so we are there. We need to get this E12. Yeah, I think I'm right. Whew, that kind of spooked me a little bit. Now, do I need to take that off of there? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I do. I gotta take that off of there. So this should loosen that spring off. Uh-oh. May not have enough ready rod sticking out of there. Alright. Okay. Whew. Can breathe a little bit now. If you actually look at the spring too, I'll put this up. I'm going to mark the way this is because I like the way the clutch engages on it. You can put the spring in different holes and it'll preload the spring. So if you look at the, I don't know, we call this thing the cap or whatever. If you look closely at it, you can actually see the number. So you got a 6, you got a 9. So this is all about engagement. So you can put it on there super tight, so you need a lot of RPM for it to open up. So for like mountains, or you can put, I had it on the lowest setting, I think. I had it on the 3. So I almost want to put it on the 0. So because my kids are riding it, it doesn't have to have a lot of RPM to go. More of like a trail machine. And I actually rebuilt this clutch a couple of years ago and I replaced these bushings and they're looking pretty good still. So that's a bushing on there. It's fun installing bushings without the right tools. Okay, where was that? That was a number 3. So same with this. There's different holes, different numbers for the holes. So you got number 1 here. So if I were to put it 1 there and 0 here, just a little bit. There's practically no pressure on that spring. So it'll open and close really easy and really quick. So I actually liked it. I liked it on 2, and you'll feel a big difference with your machine. Just changing a spring too can make it the difference between it being awesome and not awesome. But yeah, like I changed that bushing. That's nice and tight still. You also want to check that too, because if this is it rocks a lot. Like there's practically no movement. If this rocks, it can rock like that and could get jammed, and the clutch won't actuate. And oh yeah, look at the yummies. Yeah, now I want you to look at. I want you to look at here. So you can look at. There's a ring. If you look, you can't even see it. Right in there. The bolts, the adjustment bolts. These 3 guys right here. These 3 adjustment bolts right here. These are your adjusters. The more that sticks out, the more it opens the sheaves up. So the more washers you put in there, the closer together the sheaves are going to be. So I think I want another washer in there. I don't know what and why. It almost looks like these are my custom washers on there. But anyway, I'm going to take some Scotch-Brite and I'm going to clean. You can see the belt that's on here. I'm going to clean the belt off of here, clean these up. You don't want a perfectly smooth surface. You want it ever so slightly, just not like a rough like sandpaper surface, but nice and scuffed so that it'll grab the belt. And I replaced that bushing too, and that is still in good shape too. Good. Good. Okay, I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to get it all back together and put it on the sled. So I've actually heard some guys don't like doing this. I get it. Some guys don't like using WD because they believe it embeds oils into the aluminum and that promotes the belt to slip. But if you just use WD and you don't give her a nice hot bubbly soapy bath when it's done, yeah, there is a possibility that you embed the oil into the clutch and then it's no good. But if you look, you can look at all the stuff that I've dislodged from that clutch. Like you can see it all in there, all the dirt. And you see the color of the WD. You can see obviously this clutch has got some blemishes on it. This is the original clutch from '99. You can see like there's some, it's more, I don't know. It's not, you can't feel it. It doesn't catch your fingernail. It's just staining, we'll call it. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this to both clutches and then give her a nice hot bubbly bath. Little bit of 2 smoke oil. Just keep these bushings nice and cleaned. Lubed. That guy goes on there like that. Actually. yeah, that'll work. Oh, that's funny. That's better. And this goes down on here. And so we're going to put it in 2 and 3 like this. Turn it just a little bit more. like that. Oh, maybe we didn't need that. Maybe we didn't need that nut and bolt on top of there. I could just jam that in there by hand. Okay. All right then. Well, that makes it easier. It must have been the Skidoo one I was working on, Bombardier. That one blew off and hit me in the face. I think it was the primary on that one that blew off and hit me in the face, actually. Oh, phone's ringing. All right, it's all back together. Yeah, phone rang. It kind of messes you up a little bit. Oh, what do they say? Torque to factory specs. Yeah. Perfect. So I wasn't going to pull the primary off, but I think I'm going to pull the primary off and give that one a clean too. And I can pull it right down and, you know, clean the weights. These things got these swinging weights in them. Got the weights here. I got a fancy puller for that. I can get that off of there, but yeah, okay. I'm going to pull that one off too. To the guy who has everything except for a clutch puller, or sorry, a clutch holder. I have a puller, and I should need my puller on this once I get this out of here. This is a little tighter than I expected it to be. Oh man, that looks gnarly. I might need a new primary. There she goes. Nice big long bolt. And I've got this magical Mr. tool. Basically, it's got the threads on it, so it threads into the primary, and it's just got a nub on the end, and this goes in the nub inside of the crank. It goes in there, doesn't wreck the threads or nothing, bottoms out, and then pushes against the crank and pops the clutch off. Oh, excuse me. So, let's see if I can get you right down there. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Thread this into the clutch. Yeah, bottomed out. Now we just tighten her up until it pops off of there. Oh, it'll take quite a bit. I don't like doing that. Open your hand so you don't punch anything. She pops. Oh. Okay, wait. I need a socket so I'm not smashing my hand. Alright, I got the big guns out, so I don't not banging my hand. And this way I can pull up on it. And we basically just pull on this till it pops off. It's getting easy. And off she goes. That was kind of anticlimactic. Usually they pop off there at full bore, full force. And now we just unthread that and pull her out and on the bench. So this one here I should be able to just take these off. The spring on this one isn't as tough, I don't think. We're going to find out here shortly. I believe I've taken this one apart without a keeper or a holder. I like my fingers. I like my fingers. I like my fingers. Just keep saying that, it won't bite you. I like my fingers. I like my fingers. Yeah, there's almost no tension on that. I recall. If there is, there's not a whole lot. Holy cow. Oh yeah, not a whole lot of pressure. You can push down on that. Okay. Should be able to take these guys right out of here. Nothing's gonna explode in my face. No. No. Okay. Okay. Whew. Whew. I mean, we're there for a second. Same thing with this one. I'm just gonna take her down, pull her down, clean her up. Ooh. That bushing's a little rough. Nice spring. So same with the secondary. There's no position to put the spring in, but you can make these things engage faster or slower by how thick or heavy of a spring that you put in these. And probably the big thing with the secondaries is the way it slides on the guides. So you got these guides in here. The way it slides, see all that crud coming out of there? Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to clean that out of there. All right, I'm gonna work on this for a bit. I don't like taking them right down because you need a press and a puller to press this stuff apart. And yeah, I don't want to be doing any of that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna clean this all up and throw it back on there. When I clean a secondary, so I'm only going to clean a little bit of it. I'm going to clean the sheaves here a bit, but the only thing that I'm really concerned with are the weights and the rollers. Now the rollers, see the rollers, a little crusty. Nothing catches your finger though. Like there's no big grooves or nothing. If you look at the weight, see it's got the groove in it right there? See that's got that groove? Well, that will prevent the weight from swinging. It'll get caught up on that. And you see the ramp on it? The profile of the ramp determines how the clutch engages and how quickly it engages. So I mean the way these things work is you got the weights on this side. You got the weights on this side, like that, right? And you got the rollers up here. Well, when the engine spins faster, the weights come up. They swing up because of the way they're designed. They swing up and in inertia and gravitational, or not gravitational, but yeah, forces of inertia lift that weight up, it hits the roller, and it squeezes the two sheaves together. So the only real thing I'm worried about on cleaning a secondary is the weights and the rollers. Everything else is kind of superficial. Just make sure it slides nice. These sheaves are toast. I mean they're grooved. I can feel that they're pretty heavily grooved. So I'm not going to be able to do much with this. So I'm just going to have to come to terms with the fact that this sled over time is just going to eat belts. And it's not, it'd probably go through a belt every couple seasons. It's not the end of the world. These sheaves are toast. You can feel the grooves in them. Aside from getting a buddy with a lathe to chuck them up in a lathe and cut that down a bit, you can't really do much. And even doing that, you change the geometry and how close these come together, and it snowballs from there. So you're better off just to replace the damn thing. They are expensive, but they're worth every penny. So I'm just gonna clean these weights, clean the weights, clean the rollers. So the roller, I'm just gonna take a bit of Scotch-Brite and there's just a little bit of surface rust on there. Like this isn't stainless. This is just steel with a case harden on it, but it will rust a little bit in your off season. But you see, I'm just taking that surface rust off, because you got to think any little thing. Any little bit of groove, any notch or anything, like that's not bad. I've seen way worse than that. I've seen it where it's grooved right in, and when it comes up, it goes and then it gets held there, and all of a sudden, and then it goes up the apex. And what that'll do is they'll be going on your sled, and the RPM will go up more, and all of a sudden you're like wide open and no speed, and all of a sudden it jumps past that, and all of a sudden you're just flying. So you can always tell. You can always tell when you have something going on with your weights. But this sled gauge is good, and it goes pretty good. So, and these are all different, right? You can buy, that's a, what is that, an 080R OCR. You can buy different weights, different ramps, different profiles, bigger rollers, everything. You can spend quite a bit of money on these. If you're not running the mountains and you're not doing any crazy, you know, high marking and stuff in an avalanche country, then if you're just putting the trails, these are fine. These factory stock ones are fine. Even though these are mountain maxes and designed for mountains, these are still pretty good for putting trails. Oh, and if you use the wrong weights and the wrong rollers, and you're using it for the wrong reason, so if I were to take this and go to the mountains, it would just eat belts, because it would engage too soon. So I'm just going to clean the weights, clean the rollers, put it back together, and take her out for a rip. And all clean, ready to go back on. I cleaned the sheaves up the best I could. Still a little pitting. That's alright. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of oil. Put this. Just a little dab of oil here on the crank snout. Just so next time you go take it off, it doesn't, you don't want rust to build up here. That could be why it popped up so easy last time. Or so easy this time, because last time I put some juice on there. Okay, now I slide her in there. Ooh. And the bolt. To get a socket, but yeah, bolt in tight. I think I'll put a little bit of juice on those threads too, just so it doesn't gall. Oh yeah, way better, way nicer. What? Should go a lot farther than that. There it goes. Okay, I think the torque spec for this is something like 250. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it that high. Jeez. I have seen guys break the crank snout, but I unlikely, you know. Oh, okay, that's probably 100. I got it too. It's good enough for me. Good enough for the girls and I go with. I'll see if we can fire it up and just watch that clutch operation. Just have a look at that and see how it works. See how well it works. Zoom in. So it's going to go flying off, but now's the time it's going to do it. Looks good to me. Oh, it's really good actually. The clutch is still in pretty good operation shape. So now I'm going to throw the belt back on there. I did tighten up that secondary a little bit. I put another washer in there. Close her up a bit. So I'm going to put the same belt back on in the same direction that it came off. And generally when you put belts on, if you can read it, that's the right direction. If it's this way, you've got it going backwards. And yeah, these belts are directional. Oh, it's a little tight. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to work on this for a bit, and I'll bring it back when it's done. Alright, belt's on there. Looks good, operates good. I don't have to replace the belt. I added a couple washers to the secondary, closed it up a little bit, and it was working good. And that's it. Kind of a dumb video, but I've really got nothing else to do anymore. I can't do much until the snow's all gone. Speaking of snow, we got about 1.5 feet. I got to get out there and get the truck running and push some snow. Anyway, that's it. Well, that's all I got for today. Bye-bye.